メジャー翻訳速報。イチロー選手の殿堂入りへの期待が高まる中、日本のメディアもクーパーズタウンに注目を集めています。史上初の日本人選手として野球殿堂入りを果たそうとしているイチロー選手。そんな中、メディアはどのような視点で彼の功績を評価しているのでしょうか。このチャンネルでは日本人メジャーリーガーに関する現地放送局の様子を翻訳してお届けいたします。この動画が面白いと思っていただけましたら、チャンネル登録と高評価よろしくお願いいたします。
Well, we haven't talked a lot about Juan Soto, and we've been on the air for 40 minutes, so let's fix that. Here we go, some fresh Soto news with that very high-profile, pricey free agency out there. Reports say that he is meeting with the Los Angeles Dodgers this week. So that means there have been meetings with all the high-priced players after the latest round of meetings with his incumbent employer, the New York Yankees, and he is expected to sign, I don't know who this is being attributed to, by the winter meetings, if not at the winter meetings, which would be kind of a nice little touch.
Well, think about it. If you're the Yankees, you go, I want last shot, right?
Okay.
So he's been Red Sox, Toronto, who else we heard of? Mets. Today's the Dodgers.
Right.
And then
the
the
Yankees. Right.
And so those are the main 5 players. You know, we heard about mystery teams. There's 4 others, all that. I think everybody's getting to the point of, okay, are we playing in the 600 territory if that number's real? These 5 teams are probably the only ones doing it. So yeah, I think I said yesterday, it looks like they've accelerated the meetings and everything else. What are you going to tell him? Hey, there's a what? Madison Square Garden's the famous basketball court in the world. What are you going to tell them?
Yeah.
You know?
You can eat at Tao.
Yeah,
Like you can do that as a Met too, by the way.
Yeah, so everybody's sitting there going, even in LA, you know, there's the Hollywood star. I mean, what the heck? We give him a star on Hollywood?
Yeah.
You know, what are they going to do for him? It's about the dollar.
Right.
Now we start hearing the money.
So we should remind folks of what we talked about to start the show if you weren't with us at the top of the hour, and that's the Carlos Baerga-generated report. According to Hector Gomez, vis-a-vis Carlos Baerga, the Mets' initial offer to Juan Soto yesterday in L.A., $660. Remember, after he was reportedly turning down the $450 that the Nationals offered him before they eventually sent him to San Diego, and then he went to San Diego and took a year and a half off of his career just to take walks, we all thought the $450 was gone. We thought it was a calculated error that he didn't take the $450. Yeah. He was right. He and his camp, the Boris camp, who, by the way, they know more about this than we do, turns out they made a pretty good choice in saying no to the $450.
Yeah, I think there's some things that factored in there. There's no doubt about it with how you turn that down. What was he, 23, 24 years old?
With controllable service time left, but, you know, there's...
But, you know, I mean, here we are. I'm staggered at the number. I know everybody's holding up signs at the game, 600 million, 750, and I never really thought it was getting there. If Shohei Ohtani, the greatest player on the planet, is paid for doing 2 things: pitching as a starter and hitting homers as a DH, got 700 million. How in the world are you going to give a player who plays in the outfield and he can hit, best hitter out there, the same amount of money?
Yeah.
He doesn't pitch. Bobby Witt doesn't pitch.
Look,
Judge doesn't pitch. Harper doesn't pitch.
You know,
Machado doesn't pitch.
You know what's happening there with the Boris Corp folks. They got the coffee table book. They got the presentation. This is what Juan Soto will do for your Dominican Academy players. This is what he'll do for your legacy. This is what he'll do for your marketing. Oh, and by the way, plus 15 on your win total from last year. Like, they make a very powerful presentation. So if that number gets to 660 as is being reported out there, guess we shouldn't be surprised.
I've always said the player negotiates the contract by how you play. He could not have had a better year.
Yeah.
He brought the Yankees to the World Series. They don't get there without him.
Mm-hmm.
The year he put up, he was incredible. He bounced back this year because he didn't swing the bat like he was capable the last couple seasons. He was incredible, off the chain, best hitter in baseball. So Juan Soto did what he needed to do, and now Scott Boras is doing what he needs to do. He's going to get his money.
Yeah.
He is.
I just want to know where, that's all. But the most interesting part of this to me isn't the dollar figures. I'm not qualified to be sifting through all those things. The fact that it's going to happen before the winter meetings, according to reports that are out there now, that's fascinating.
I can see that happening because, and I think it's great for the sport because the market cannot get done.
And you made the point.
Him.
You made the point yesterday that you're holding up your own market.
Yes.
You got other players that you got to get going here. So figure out your top tier, and then everything else falls into place.
Because actually, if you're negotiating a deal, right? If you're a player, you look at who's getting what, and how do I compare to that player?
Yeah.
That's how you set your market.
Well, we've been talking about Juan Soto a lot, obviously, since the start of the hot stove season. When we come back, we're going to employ a crystal ball. No, this still has little pieces of, yes, that's right. Peer into the crystal ball and make predictions for the 2025 season. Forces to try to predict.
Now you got to redo that. You got to redo it. Do it better. It's got to be like crystal ball. Come on.
You do it.
No, you do it. Give me something better than that.
Peer into the crystal ball.
Thank you.
Okay, now we got that out of the way.
Now let's do this.
Let's do this. We have some questions, and I'm not sure who entered the crystal ball to lead us down these paths, but let's get the first question out there for Harold and I to respond to.
Which team that missed the postseason in each league has the best chance of making a World Series run in 2025?
It's a very familiar voice there.
My first thought is hot chicken wings or something.
Yeah, chicken wings. Let's see, a crystal ball.
Which team missed the postseason has a chance to make a World Series
Why don't
run?
you go first?
That was easy for me. Texas Rangers. I mean, they made the run 2 years ago to win it all. But they get everybody back healthy this year. Mm-hmm. I think they're primed, and their young players are that much further into their career. I think the Texas Rangers.
A World Series run kind of makes it challenging.
Yes.
Which team that missed the postseason has a chance to get to the postseason this year? That's a little easier.
You can do that, but the World Series run puts a little wrinkle on it. I may have stole the only team.
Yeah, at risk of being boring on this one, I'm going to agree with you. I think of the others, the other 22, I think it's the Rangers for the obvious reasons, for the reasons you just cite. Like the pieces are all in place there.
Yeah, they're right there.
And we don't really know how they're going to behave in this market either, right? Losing Nate Eovaldi's going to hurt him.
Yeah, oh yeah.
If there's still a chance he goes back there, but that's
you get DeGrom back.
hurts.
Hopefully, you might get. We'll see.
I mean, Seattle would be a decent guess there because the pitching will get them there, and we don't know how they're going to behave. If they land Teoscar Hernandez or one of these guys, he's not going back there.
World Series run.
World Series run. Let's go back to the crystal ball for the next question.
All right.
Hey guys, Brian Kenny here. Which team is on Malaise watch for next season?
What? We don't need BK to identify himself.
It's Brian Kenny here.
Okay. You know who I think is on Malaise watch?
No.
The Chicago Cubs. They barely finished over 500. Their spring training schedule starts on February 20th because they got to get ready for the international opener. So they're playing the easy answer is to say the two World Series teams. They could be on Malaise watch because they played later into the season than anybody else. I think the Craig Counsell and the Cubs need to establish a winning first couple of months because let's face it was a disappointment last year there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who do you have on Malaise watch?
The Yankees.
That'd be my second choice.
I'm telling you. That quick turnaround. Not sure about Garrett Cole's health.
We have news to get to, some new tricklets of information coming in on the Juan Soto free agent.
Tricklets, I like that.
We'll get to that in a sec. We also have from Fox Sports, Chris Myers. Chris Myers is going to be with us.
Chris Myers.
He's got a new book that I guess is out today is the date on this thing. So we have Chris on a very timely day. Some Astros news to get to. Manager of the Year preview. We're going to go over in a moment the Rookies of the Year as we learned about them live on MLB Network yesterday. BBWAA Awards Week continues. Let's circle back to this Soto thing. We're going to get into it, I guess, a little deeper in just a little bit.
We'll dive in.
But it's a source that put a report out that caught your attention. I'll put it that way.
Well, yeah, a source being Carlos Baerga. All right.
Former Major League All-Star Carlos Baerga.
When I saw the number 660, I thought of Willie Mays' home run total. But $660 million is what he's saying was offered to Soto by the Mets. That's their initial offer. Now, here's what I find intriguing, and we're going to dive into this a little bit later. Carlos Baerga called Verlander going to the Mets and the money, on the money.
Okay.
He called a few different ones along the way that have been just like amazing to me. So he's got that.
I think he had Justin Turner going to Toronto.
Justin Turner going to Toronto. Yes.
So Carlos is wired in somewhere.
He is wired in.
So it's not fake news.
Fake news? No. So if that 660 number is there, man, we'll have to dive into that a little bit later. But you're telling me he's 2 times worth what Machado and Harper got at the same age?
And that much more money than what the Yankees are paying Aaron Judge?
Yeah, I mean, come on. He doesn't pitch.
That's a staggering
Let's not forget how we got to that number with Shohei Ohtani.
That's close to the Ohtani number as a starting shot, as an opening salvo.
Yeah.
If, in fact, it's accurate. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's get back to the awards. And while you were watching, perhaps, guy was really good for the Yankees. In fact, starting pitchers to win Rookie of the Year in the same season, you got to go back to 81. We talked about this yesterday. Rags and Fernando. And then in 76, I believe Pat Zachary was co-Rookie of the Year that season in the National League, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And the Bird won it for the Tigers in 76. So it's rare when a year like this comes along. Look, there wasn't a lot of drama here. I know that there was a lot of people that were making campaign for Colton Cowser in the American League, and he had a great year. A lot of people for Jackson Merrill in the National League had a great year. For me, it was never a doubt. Luis Gil kept the Yankees' rotation afloat for about 3 months, and Skeens had a historic rookie year.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to start with Paul Skeens. I mean, look, his year is amazing, but he was #1 pick in the country, 1 of 1, and in the big leagues a year later. Let's not forget how rare that in itself is.
Joining us from Tokyo.
There were some nervous moments here a moment ago. This was real technological drama. I got the dreaded notice that they were going to restart my computer in seconds, but I think I have, hopefully at least for now, forestalled that calamity on the air. But yes, thanks
JP,
to my
was
colleague.
that Team Japan walking in right there?
Here's the backstory. That was Team Chinese Taipei departing this morning from the Taipei airport. And when you consider what this team is doing, this has resulted in such national pride for Taiwanese baseball fans. They've got a chance to win a tournament of this magnitude. The Premier 12 is what's happening right now. It's the successor tournament to the old Baseball World Cup. They've never finished first before, but they've got this brand new building, and you saw just a moment ago the way the people of Taiwan are embracing this team. This is a real moment of national pride for Taiwanese baseball fans. You saw the manager, Hao Ju-sang, leading his team through. The captain, Xu Ju-chen, has been wonderful and talked with me about what it means to grow the game there. And I know it's on the other side of the world, guys, but this tournament, for the players that are involved in Team Japan, of course, I referenced the 24-game international winning streak. If Chinese Taipei can find a way to beat Japan at the Tokyo Dome, it is going to be the kind of victory that transforms the sport in a country for a generation. So that's what's at stake here in this tournament. Venezuela is here. Team USA is here. I went over to Team USA's workout at the Tokyo Dome today. I walked up to the field and I heard in the next room down in the pitching bullpen, because as you know, at the Tokyo Dome, the bullpens are underneath. You don't get to watch the pitchers warm up. It's all underneath. And I heard this grunting noise every pitch, getting it across the plate, demanding excellence on every pitch. 44-year-old Rich Hill getting ready, my friends. It's going to be a great atmosphere this weekend.
Hey, let me ask you something about Chinese Taipei real quick. Remember all those years they won the Little League World Series? Do any of those guys ever, advance to play at this level?
Sure. So, well, first of all, the icon, and actually when I spoke with Chen earlier in the week about if he had a desire to play in MLB, what he said was the thing that changed baseball in Taiwan forever was when Chen Ming Wang made it to the big leagues and became a star. And for a few years before he had that injury, he was one of the very best pitchers in the American League. And then a couple years later, Wei-Yin Chen came on. Remember him about a decade ago? He was a legit lefty for the Baltimore Orioles. So the reason why Chinese Taipei right now ranks as the second team in the WBSC World Rankings, Harold, is because they're very good at the youth levels. They don't always make it over to play in Major League Baseball, but domestically, the league there, the CPBL as it's known, is very strong. And there are players, I've seen them in the last week. There are multiple players on this team who I think would be productive Major League players. They just tend to stay closer to home. So there's a reason why they win those youth level tournaments, the U12s, the U15 World Cups. And now we're seeing this tightly knit group of players coming together. I got to say this. I saw earlier in this tournament, Juan Wei-Chen, the closer from Chinese Taipei, is forkball, one of the best out pitches I've seen in this tournament.
JP, let's get you to the Hall of Fame ballot, which was revealed. Harold and I kind of took a brief glance at it in the last segment of the program. Ichiro's a slam dunk first ballot guy, of course. I would imagine that folks in Japan are paying closer attention to this year's Hall of Fame vote than they have in quite some time.
They are, Matt. And how about this anecdote? I checked in with our friends at the Hall of Fame. Right now, because this was ballot drop week, there are members of the Japanese media in Cooperstown this week to cover the fact that his name is on the ballot. Just to cover the ballot, okay? Consider how big of a deal that is. And now think about what it's going to be like in January when the Japanese media is there waiting on word, which we know what it's going to be. And then fast forward to July when we're there covering the induction of the first ever Japanese-born player to be inducted to the National Baseball Hall of Fame. This is going to be an international event, and it truly is the winter of Ichiro. There's a beautiful display. I took this picture when I was here 5 years ago. This is even 5 years ago. The Ichiro display. There he is, the Oryx Blue Wave jersey at the top, and then the three MLB jerseys he wore, Yankees, Marlins, and of course the Mariners. And I go back to the final game he played. What a storybook ending it was. The reason why he's on the ballot this year is because, remember, he wanted to play the first couple games in 2019 in the Dome, right here, the embrace with Felix Hernandez. And remember, Yusei Kikuchi crying because Yusei Kikuchi had a chance to pitch in a game that the legendary Ichiro Suzuki had as his final game. Remember this moment, Kikuchi brought to tears. This is not just a baseball player, guys. This is an icon of the country of Japan. There's some whispers that he might be in the building this week, by the way, which to me, if Ichiro is here with Samurai Japan, the modern Samurai Japan, all of them grew up idolizing this man. And if you see Japan win a gold medal, or if they play the U.S. for a gold medal, if they play Chinese Taipei for a gold medal, or Venezuela, doesn't matter. This place is going to be filled up like it's Game 7 of the World Series. And can you imagine what happens if Ichiro walks out in the middle of all this? His name's on the Hall of Fame ballot. This is why we love the international game so much.
With so much Japanese media descending on Cooperstown, might be time for Brian Kenny to learn those multilingual.
I want him to get into the Loretta Stone.
Get him a Loretta Stone and get him into.
Ichiro was close to not being on this ballot because he would have kept playing if they'd have given him
Oh, he's 51 years young. And by the way, one last note about Ichiro that we talk about how early you have to debut in the major leagues to be on the Hall of Fame track and get 3,000 hits. He got his first major league hit, number 1, at age 27. 27 years of age. There are all those graphics that show how your journey to 3,000 hits. He didn't have a single hit in the major leagues until his major league debut at 27.
Amazing.
One of one.
JP, before we let you go, let's hit you on the trade market. Yandy Diaz's name is getting a little bit of traction beyond all the questions that now exist around the ballpark. We're more concerned with the roster at this point. Yandy entering his age 33 season, a big-time commodity. Is he a buy and hold for the Rays, or is he moving on?
I could see Yandy Diaz being dealt this offseason. And one thing that he does, I mean, one of many things that he does, but that standout skill is the bat to ball. And the power plays, you see that at 116 OPS plus. But Harold, you're there covering the World Series every year. We always talk about the separator being the guys that put the ball in play in a big spot and can move the line. And that was what the Dodgers had, and that's why they won the World Series. I look at a team like the Mariners that swung and missed so much this year. And also any team, and we're talking so much about Soto right now, and we should, by the way, but whenever he makes that decision, the knock-on effects of that will be, okay, does Yandy Diaz in a trade become an option for the Yankees if they can't get Christian Walker? Where does Pete Alonso go? It's probably going to take some time for Yandy Diaz to find where his home's going to be for 25 on the trade market. But I think as soon as Soto goes, and then once Alonso, Christian Walker, once that part of the free agent market goes, and then Yandy Diaz is there as a very affordable option trade-wise, he's going to be, I think, having a very impactful 2025 on a contending team.
Good notes, good stuff to watch regarding Yandy Diaz and more. JP Morosi joining us live from Tokyo. Enjoy the rest of your trip. When are you back stateside?
Oh, I'll be there next Monday, so just in time for Thanksgiving dinner. I'll be back in time to maybe get a little bit of optimism for Michigan against Ohio State, which probably won't work out all that well.
Yeah, let's not get nuts here. Let's not get too crazy. JP, thank you. JP
Get back home before they forget you.
He'll be back in time. He'll reintroduce himself to his family, and then he'll find some other international amateur tournament to go send himself to. That's kind of what he does. Let's take a break. We have more to get to today. When we come back after a quick timeout, we will dive in a more in-depth manner to the Manager of the Year vote, which is taking place tonight. Live reveal on MLB Network, the second in the BBWAA Awards Week presentations. We'll talk Managers of the Year next on Hosto.
メジャー翻訳速報。イチローさんの殿堂入り候補としてのノミネート、大きな話題となっていますね。すでに多くの日本メディアがクーパーズタウンに集まり、投票結果を待っているとのこと。27歳でメジャーデビューしてから3000本安打を達成したイチローさん、日本人初の殿堂入りとなる可能性が高そうですね。一方でファンとしては注目のソト選手の去就も気になります。メッツから660億円という驚きの金額が提示されたとの報道も、ウィンターミーティングまでには結論が出そうですね。皆様の思いやご感想などありましたらコメント欄までお願いいたします。ご視聴ありがとうございました。